So for one night and one night only, Jimmy Kimmel was in fact the talk of the town, as yes, over 6 million people, 6.3 million to be precise, managed to tune in for his triumphant return after missing, 3 episodes or something like that. The spin on this is quite amazing because the left, I think they know that they've kind of messed up in regards to the Charlie Kirk situation, because we're seeing actual repercussions, and the right not giving up, okay? Because normally, like, there's obvious problems that you can observe from the outside looking in from both political groups, if we want to be objective here. Like, the right really wants the approval of the left. The lengths to which they'll go to cuck themselves is absolutely insane, but the left, they just love being victims. They prioritize that over everything else. So yes, instead of just simply admitting, yeah, screwed up, and then try to do something better, that's not their modus operandi. What they're gonna do out of this, yeah, they're just gonna spin it, make themselves the victims. And that's what Jimmy did, as he got to proselytize to his biggest audience ever. I don't think that he's had a bigger show than this, okay? And it follows the track record, right? Because Wall Street Journal paywalls all their articles because they're a stupid platform. But nearly 6.3 million people, so 6.2 million people, which is also interesting because that kind of jogged a memory, okay? Because I was also wondering, it's like, what was the last show? What was the last outlet that also followed a similar trajectory, raising the ire of the Donald Trump White House? And what were the numbers on that one? All right. That was South Park, right? Because South Park's season 27 audience, well, if you remember for the premiere, they ended up hitting a 6.0, but then the second episode hit a 6.2. Interesting. After years and years of stagnant viewership, they decide to go full court press on Donald Trump, and then they get rewarded by the people that are out there in between chugging Tylenol. Now, obviously, I was around for the first Trump administration. I wasn't making videos or anything like that, but I can't remember, like, just a little epoch in time where TDS has been so bad. Like, just this little concentrated pocket of the past 4 to 6 weeks has been pretty insufferable. I'm sure there was some time back in like 2018 or 2019 where things were running, super hot, but nothing immediately comes to mind. The lengths to which the spins, the smears, and just the outright brazen lying has just been so in your face from so many different avenues. And oh yeah, to just put a bow on all of this stuff, I think it's interesting, right? Sticking with South Park here for a second, because you remember last week they decided to take a gap week because we couldn't quite get the episode done. We have an additional week in order to prep our episodes this time around. So yeah, in 2 weeks we couldn't quite get the finishing touches on our episode. So you just fast forward to the newest episode that's out there and you're already talking shit about FCC Chairman Brandon Carr, and oh yeah, what are you doing out there? Having him throw up the old Roman salute? Oh, okay, cool. Having him talk about losing his freedom of speech. So yeah, the fact that you guys came out and said, oh yeah, we couldn't get the finishing touches on our product even though we had 2 weeks, but in less than a week you can go ahead because all of this stuff really broke Thursday of last week. You managed to turn all of that stuff around in less than a week. Something tells me that yeah, you were gonna have some Charlie Kirk-esque shit that was in there, but at least Paramount has the sense enough to go, no, we're not exactly gonna fucking do that. And yeah, just if you want to know what was in the episode, JD Vance convinces Trump that being a parent will ruin his life because Satan now has a baby bump. Kyle calls out Polymarket special advisor Donald Trump Jr. about an offensive online bet that wagers if his mom Sheila will strike Gaza. Like, holy shit, this is a comedy show, huh? That's interesting. But no, running it back to Jimmy Kimmel here, who's running the exact same playbook. I would imagine tonight's monologue or last night's monologue probably follows along the exact same shit he was talking, but what exactly did he say? Well, he kicked off in a very spicy fashion. He wasn't quite as subdued as some might have thought. Maybe, Disney would come back and they would continue to have shackles on him, but no, he started off hot, right? Because this is the first thing that he addresses right off the bat.
Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I got something that nobody would have seen at all when it happened at the time. That's just him out there wishing death on his political opponents. But what did he say on the night? Did he address the crux of his suspension? Well, kind of, sort of. Okay, Jimmy Kimmel tears up during his monologue about his show's return.
I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
No, unless, of course, he was unvaccinated, which I think Charlie Kirk was. I can't remember. I would just imagine. It's like it kind of carries on. Then if that was the case, then yeah, you would have been totally fine with that one. But hey, he cried, so that means that he's being sincere. But no, the crux, and you might see that time code right there. And trust me, I'm not going to subject you to 6 minutes and 22 seconds of Jimmy Kimmel. I'm a bit sadistic when it comes to my enemies. I'm a little bit more forgiving to my audience, that's for sure. So yeah, long story short, instead of focusing on, kind of contributing to the rhetoric, and I came out on last Tuesday, I just outright lied to the audience after all the facts were there. Tried to blame the right for political violence. It's just, sure, who hasn't committed a little slander every now and again? So yeah, why not just lie again, right? Because Jimmy Kimmel goes after Trump and Brendan Carr for trying to shut down his show. The president made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. Interesting, because weren't you also the same guy who celebrated when Tucker Carlson got fired? And there's a reason that I played that clip from him shitting on unvaccinated people that were apparently going to be dying in droves, just like the former president would do. Yeah, you don't care about those people. You only care if they're politically expeditious to your specific campaign. And the FCC and Trump are trying to stamp all over my free speech. Since when is free speech? Since when is protected speech blatant and obvious lies? When is free speech? When is the protection of the First Amendment applicable to calls or advocation of violence or death? Since when is a multi-million-dollar contract protected by the First Amendment? And you keep on conflating Trump and the FCC for the reason that you got taken down in the first place, when in reality it was the stations, when in reality it was Disney, and it was not the FCC, it was not Donald Trump that made the call. Nexstar, because we talked about Sinclair and their 33 ABC affiliates that would not be airing the Jimmy Kimmel show. And now Nexstar, and I think it's 60 affiliates, we'll obviously get into some of the particulars here very shortly, but they will also keep Jimmy Kimmel off the air following his partisan return to ABC. When Jimmy Kimmel returned to ABC after his suspension, he stood on stage crying, clarifying, and railing against President Trump and the FCC, because that right there, that's what the left is doing right now, okay? Whether it's designating Antifa a domestic terrorist group, whether it's saying, hey, we took a look at some shit that even Tylenol themselves was saying back in 2017, that pregnant women, unless in emergency situations, probably shouldn't be taking our product. We'll just go ahead and blame our political opponents instead of taking stock of our situation and wondering if maybe we've been hypocrites all of this time, using this as a moment of inflection. But why would I have ever thought that would have been the case? But one thing was conspicuously absent: a real apology. And now Nexstar Media Group, one of the largest owners of ABC affiliates in the country, has made its position crystal clear. Kimmel will not be returning to their airwaves anytime soon. In a statement following Kimmel's return, Nexstar said, "We are continuing to evaluate the status of Jimmy Kimmel Live and our ABC affiliated local television stations and the show that will be preempted while we do so. We are encouraged in productive discussions with executives at the Walt Disney Company with a focus on ensuring the program reflects and respects a diverse interests of the communities we serve." And to be completely honest, man, I don't think that's going to change, because he's obviously going to double and triple down, because he's seen, oh boy, 6 million people tuned in. For me to bash Trump and the FCC, oh boy, that's what we're going to be doing moving forward. So it's not like he hasn't been doing that before. It's just going to be even more insufferable. And as for the conversations with Disney, well, they're going to be a little bit busy, because the people responsible for taking Kimmel off the air, Disney, Bob Iger, there's some rumors that, Michael Eisner, like he has any fucking pull, tried to pressure Iger to, cave to Kimmel. It's like, no, man, this was a stunt. We all can see it's a stunt at this point in time. But Disney hit with a legal salvo from shareholders over the Jimmy Kimmel suspension. A group of Disney shareholders is exercising its rights to demand materials related to the company's decision last week to suspend Kimmel's late night show, a precursor to a potential lawsuit. In a letter to Disney, the American Federation of Teachers and Reporters Without Borders said there's credible a basis to suspect that the board breached its fiduciary duty to investors by prioritizing improper political and affiliate considerations. The fallout from suspending Kimmel sparked criticism as an attack on free speech, triggered boycotts and union support for Mr. Kimmel, and also some terrorists to go ahead and shoot up an ABC affiliate station. Yes, that very much did happen, but that didn't get mentioned in Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. That's very interesting, right? So yeah, there's going to be a lawsuit against Disney. There's going to be more lies spread that the White House or the FCC had anything to do with shutting down a show that literally nobody watches. But you know what they aren't tackling? Oh, I don't know. The fucking real problems, real censorship. Jimmy Kimmel cries censorship over Trump while ignoring real Biden pressure on YouTube. Didn't want to talk about that at all. Okay, how about other radicalized shootings? Okay, ones that you wanted to sweep for. You didn't want to talk about the freak out there in Dallas that decided to shoot up an ICE facility. You didn't want to touch on that because there was no obvious way to say, hey, that guy likes guns, and all you maggots out there, you guys like the guns too, so that's obviously one of yours. But this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others, before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are all on the ground, Dallas PD at the state authorities. While the investigation is ongoing, the initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind the attack. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase, "Notice the bulge, ooh, ooh." Oh, I'm sorry, different leftist incident. Anti-ICE. Yes, more updates will be forthcoming. Yeah, these despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. They are only miles from Prairieland, Texas, where just 2 months ago an individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their officers. It has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see, all of those targets brought to our law enforcement are pursued and brought to the full extent of justice, all of that stuff. But Asmongold chimes in right here with a very common sense approach. This is the part where I, once again, beg you guys to start looking online and investigating prosecuting the people calling openly for violence. So many people get radicalized by this rhetoric and end up doing something horrible. You're the FBI director, start acting like it 1,000% fucking correct, because here we are again, another shooter with leftist rhetoric, all because the left fails to take responsibility for their own actions. And going back to the YouTube censorship debate, I mean, like, that lasted about 10 seconds, because a couple of people decided to spark up some new YouTube channels, and Alex Jones show decided to come back. Nick Fuentes and his show wanted to see just how far this renewed appreciation of freedom of expression and freedom of speech would last. Well, less than 12 hours, apparently. No more banning for political speech. No more banning for medical misinformation. No, guys. We'll let bygones be bygones. It'll all be fine. But apparently, not so much. Because we've seen some previously terminated creators try to start new channels to clarify our pilot program on terminations is not yet open. It's still against our community guidelines for previously terminated users to use, possess, or create other channels, and will terminate new channels from previously terminated users in accordance with these guidelines. We'll have more to share in the limited pilot program soon. Yeah, so like we said before, okay, like we told Congress that, effective like immediately, we'll just go ahead and stop prosecuting people based on our ideological perspectives, but we didn't, by saying like immediately, we didn't mean like immediately or anything like that. We'll just, we got to figure out exactly how we want to suppress voices moving forward. So yeah, as Legal Mindset points out, this is begging for a class action lawsuit and then just simply circling up back around to Asmongold. Once again, this logically makes sense, but time will tell if YouTube is committed to the ideal of free speech and not once the new program is implemented, using very controversial examples like Fuentes or Alex Jones, and if they're approved by the program will reveal the truth. But yes, this is the actual free speech battle that's going on, not some multi-millionaire crying about some fucking fictitious form of suppression, discussing radicalized nonsense, taking out people that the left and their political adversaries when they are deemed dangerous, fascistic, bigoted Nazis. They are not going to stop. And they aren't satisfied until you're all in the ground. Destiny said it. And that wasn't him speaking out of turn for the left. He just said the quiet part out loud. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Conspello. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.